Welcome to Camp America's Tell Me Small. Hello, welcome to our 7th episode of Tell Me Small.
7th episode,
yeah.
Wow.
Today we've got a very special guest with us. So we've got Stacey from our US team, and she is our mental health counsellor.
So glad to be here today. Hi guys.
Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, we really appreciate you taking the time out as well for us. So hopefully this is a bit different kind of episode today than our usual this or that or games that we play.
We're not going to be discussing camp goggles.
No, that's true. No, we're actually going to talk quite a little bit about mental health and how you deal with mental health at camp, and some questions you guys have fired in before the podcast, which was yesterday. So
yeah,
I believe you've a list.
So I feel like maybe we should start with our questions. So yeah.
Hilarious. What are they?
Okay, so someone asked, how do I deal with knowing that you're going to miss out on things at home with your friends and family and kind of be a little bit out of touch whilst you're at camp?
Yeah, that's such a great question because it's something I definitely wanted to talk about because that actually causes a lot of stress for people. A couple of things that I think can be helpful are, one is like really talking to your friends and family before you go and like letting them know what your ability to sort of stay in touch will be like, because I think it's harder if your friends and family think you're gonna have like constant access to your cell phone or to be able to like stay in touch like immediately for those things. So then they're sending you lots and lots of things that are happening there and like wanting you to reply or maybe pressuring you to reply, and you're not able to because of the time difference or the times that you have your phone. And so sort of setting up with them, like I'll be able to check my phone or like check in like once a day during my breaks, but I won't be able to like reply immediately. And then for things like that, like I do think like having them, you know, like video the event or like send you messages and like, you know, maybe like if it's really hard for the time difference, but if it worked to zoom you in, it might. But if not, like a video and you could send a video back being like hi and like a little bit about what's going on for you. But I think just knowing that camp is such a short time, you know, it's 8 or 10 weeks out of potentially your life if you don't go back. And so really trying to just like be in the moment and enjoy that, and because it's going to be over before you know it, and like those things at home also are really special, but then you get to go back home and like share all this stuff in the summer and be like part of all that.
Home's always going to be there.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like on my days off or like my time off, like as much as I wanted to contact my mum and dad and my family, I also made time to FaceTime my friends, even if it was once or twice in the summer, just to check in. And then it's like, no, they're still there. Like I've still got them there. I mean, when my mum went to camp, she came back and didn't know what the Spice Girls were. So the Spice Girls became a thing when she was there. So you will miss out on things, I think, but you catch up so quick.
Yeah.
So, and you have like different experiences.
That's what I was gonna say. Then you get to bring all your stories back, and they get to share their stories, and it's like really fun when you get back together with your friends because you have so much to talk about.
That reunion, something else.
You do like miss your friends so much, obviously your family, but like you said, when you do get reunited when you come back home, it's so nice like updating them on all the fun stuff that happened in the summer and stuff like that. I'm sure they've got stories to tell you as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can understand why it is difficult, but it's definitely so much fun when you see them for the first time. Yeah.
Okay, so I think this one was actually from a parent, which is always great. What can parents do to help their children make the most of this experience?
That's so cool. Yeah, these questions are great so far. I just really like that. I think just encouraging your child that like this is going to be an amazing experience. It could be hard, and so like helping them remember all of kind of the hard things they've done in their life and like how far they've already come to get to this point, like to make it this far and like be ready to go. And if it is like their first time going away, just reminding them of that, of like the strength they have and that they can do it, and that this will be something that will change their life. Like it is a new experience. And then, you know, and being patient if they can't respond right away. I think something that can stress participants out when they're in America at a camp and like parents or family are at home, rightfully like worried, like wanting to check in, but sometimes if parents communicate like too much, like constantly checking in, it can be stressful for the person at camp because they're not able to respond right away and they don't want to think that people at home are worrying about them. So just kind of having that understanding that they might not be able to be in touch with you as much and like giving them that freedom and saying like, no, I want you to go do this. I'm fine. Like we are fine here. You do your thing. Let us know.
At least pretend to be fine.
Yeah.
My first year,
I was like, how did your mom do?
Yeah, my mum pretended to be fine when I left just so I'd be fine, but yeah, the second year she was like, yeah, no, it was horrible.
I feel like my parents were just happy to get rid of me. They were like, yes, they have to deal with him.
So maybe if you're happy to get rid of your child, I don't know, maybe tell them no.
It's alright, Matt, don't worry. Yeah.
Great. Cheers, Mum.
So our next question is how to deal with being so socially active and being, I like this, an extrovert and having FOMO if you need a break.
Oh, so that is an extroverted person.
So I think what they're trying to say is how do you cope with being because you're with your friends the whole summer, that you don't really get time to yourself, so how to deal with that.
Yeah.
I think that's how I'm taking that.
I think you have to like sneak in those small moments, like in the shower, you know, like at night before you go to bed. Even if it's like walking from one building to the other, like take a conscious moment and like stop walking, take a few deep breaths, look around you. Just like there are times where you can get moments to yourself at camp.
Me moments.
Yeah. And you just have to you have to be looking for them. Like you have to just make an effort or like a concerted effort to find those times. But I think it's really important because even the most extroverted of us like do need some downtime, and sometimes then we won't realize. So yeah, I feel like shower before bed, early in the morning if you're a morning person, like getting up, walking outside your cabin and just kind of like taking a deep breath, looking around, and that kind of stuff.
That's something that I always do, and I've always said to my counselors really helps. Like if you need sleep. Mm-hmm. But if you can wake up early in the morning and just go and sit like at the main hall, or it can be so peaceful when not many people are around. So just take it all in, and honestly, it's a really just chill time.
They're like the best moments at camp. I feel like around like 6:30, 7 before the kids get up, and like you can hear the birds and the sun's coming up. Like that's really nice. Like even if you need to go grab Wi-Fi or depending on like your camp and what kind of restrictions you have.
Definitely. And that's also a good chance to call home as well. Like
that's
in terms
true.
of the time difference.
Especially if it's your day off as well. Like as much as you want to sleep, get out of that bunk because the kids can do their thing and you're not needed there. So go call home, take a minute, eat breakfast alone. Like, little things.
Yeah.
You do get burnt out, but like when you have those chances to rest, it's so important that like recovery. Our director always used to say us about the pouring like system, so you can't pour into other people unless you are poured into, and I think that's so true, especially when it comes to energy. Like you can't give these energy to the campers, like and during colour run or amazing like fun activities if you are not getting the rest and sort of recovery that you need as well. So definitely.
Yeah, I feel like at camp I always used to volunteer to like run little errands, so someone would like need something brought from like the arts and crafts building to like the main hall or something, and I'd be like, yeah, I'll do that, because then you get like 5 minutes or whatever to take for yourself to walk there and walk back, like a break. So like I think you just gotta seek out those times.
And then you take in your surroundings more, I feel like, because the amount of times I'd be walking on campus, I'd be like, whoa, like I'm here, like it's so pretty.
Even toilet breaks, take a couple minutes.
Yes.
No one's gonna judge you if you sit on the toilet for like 5 minutes.
No,
they
definitely.
know that you're just sitting there chilling.
Yeah, I feel like that's so common.
The next question is actually one that I kind of had before and I've had to deal with. So how to comfort homesick kids when you're homesick?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just want to cry. If a kid's crying because they miss your mum, you're like, me too.
Yeah.
So
do you want me to answer first, or do you want to
No,
answer?
you can answer.
Okay. I was like, sorry. You made me have the most experience with this. No, I mean, I think unfortunately that does really happen, and I think one thing about being a camp counselor is that it is really a selfless act. Like, you're going to have to go through that process of putting others' needs before your needs kind of quite a bit. And in this situation, it can be really challenging. But I also think, like, as you're comforting the kid, listen to what you're saying and, like, try to take your own advice. Because what do we usually say to kids? Like, you know, like, we know this is hard. You'll be, you know, like, it's only a week or 2 or 5, whatever it is. Like, and like then you'll be back home, and like so this is like a brief moment in time, and like there are all these things to look forward to, right? We usually like try to get them to focus on something they really want to do, and so like as you're going through that, like take it in for yourself, think about like why did you want to come here? Are there things you really like? Friends, activities, people, what are you looking forward to? And you can be honest with that kid. I mean, I honestly feel like you probably should. Like, you can say, like, I've experienced that too. Or, like, I sometimes have trouble missing home and my mom too. And, like, these are some things that I've done that, like, help. And, like, maybe we can help each other. Like, I think it's okay to be kind of vulnerable in that and, like, share that emotion and, you know, like help each other, because you're obviously helping the kid. But like I feel like the kid, you know, often kids like to try to like help the people they care about too. And like when you put it in that light, like when you say like I'm doing this for this child and like I'm helping them, like helping other people makes us feel good. It's like that serotonin. And so like sometimes putting other people before your own needs can actually help you in those situations.
Yeah, that's the approach that I've always taken with it. I've just kind of been like, you know what, me too. And then I feel like if I talk to them about being so far away from home is where it makes them feel better.
Yeah.
Because it's not so...
you are so far
away. Yeah. So they do like to feel like they're helping you as well.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a good point. And I'd never thought about listening to my own advice before.
Yeah. And I think it's really normal to be homesick. Like I think that's the other thing is like, that's fine. You know, like you probably will feel homesick or miss home at some points, and like, don't beat yourself up about that. That is just like a normal part of this process.
Yeah, that was another one of our questions actually, how to deal with homesickness.
And that's
so
really
I think
that as well,
don't think about it before you go, because everyone's going to have to deal with some form of homesickness. So don't get too worked up about it before. Otherwise you'll do what I do.
And in terms of the campers anyway, one thing I'd always tell my counsellors to really sort of do is get to know your campers. You know, if you know that one of them absolutely loves swimming in the lake and they're homesick on like the 3rd day, you can motivate them and say, look, swimming's on the 4th day. Like, this is an incredible moment. You know, if you can just get through today, we've got swimming tomorrow. And I've always found that, and obviously relating, like you said, you know, missing home, like how you're like 3,000 miles away. Relating to them can really help as well. So definitely little tactics like that. You'll be surprised at how far they go. And I've never thought about that on how, when you help other people, that boosts your own serotonin levels. That's actually a really good point. Yeah.
I think the other thing for kids and for us, you know, who are having homesickness is trying to make connections or friends. Like if you're homesick and lonely, like you haven't quite connected with other people, that's really hard. And so one of the first things we can do is like when we get to camp, fight through that feeling to sort of isolate or like keep to yourself or like reach out with like to people back home, and try to reach out to people around you and like put yourself out there a little bit, be vulnerable that way, because if you can sort of break through that feeling and like connect with someone else at camp, one, there's a chance they're also going through some of those same things, and two, if they're not, like they probably want to help you. And so I think it's like we're not as used to maybe as adults like having to form friendships with like random people we don't know, but like at camp that is a big part of it, and those social connections, those relationships will really help you in times when like you're not.
That's how you get through.
Yeah, and that's why we do that for kids too. We try to like buddy them up or be like, yeah, go with so and so. They're having a great time.
Yeah, that happens a lot in our orientation week with our staff. So when they all come, the hardest week is the first week a lot of the time for our staff, because it's if they don't make a friend on the first couple of days, they start feeling homesick, like you said, maybe a little bit lonely, and sometimes it's just pushing through that first week, because as soon as those campers arrive, you're going to be so busy.
Your friendships change as well, depending on who you're put in a bunk with or who your co-counselors are. So the friend that you made the first week in orientation, you might still be friendly, but might not be your best friend at camp. So you kind of need to trust the process and stick it out, because you will find your people eventually.
We have had a few staff members in the past that have arrived during orientation and they've actually sort of gone, this isn't for me, I am quite homesick, I'm going to go home. And then a few weeks later they've actually been messaging me when I've been checking up on them, and they've gone, I regret it, 100% is pushing through that, especially that first week.
Our next question is, I'm worried to put myself out there and make friends.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, which obviously...
I think that's so... I've been thinking about this a lot, because I think that's what camp is about, really, is that like person-to-person connection. And sure, you're in a beautiful place and there's all these activities, but it's really about the people. But now we're so used to making a lot of connections virtually, and like we have our phones, so like, you know, like you're standing around in a social place with people and like you don't really know people, and you're gonna, like right now, not at camp, but like you pull out your phone and you look at your phone and you're like, I'm texting my friends, I have friends, it doesn't matter that no one here knows me or whatever. But in camp you really can't do that because you don't usually, like you're not usually allowed to have your phone, and so it pushes us out of that place. And so I say, like, start practicing now. Like if you're at the supermarket, or if you're at a uni thing, or you're at a friend's like get together and you don't know a lot of people, try to fight the urge to take out your phone and like make eye contact with someone and just say hi, and or just smile even and see what happens. Like you'd be so surprised. It's like people greet you with what you put out to them, and so if you're smiling or kind of wave awkwardly, like they're gonna smile and wave back at you. Yeah, and at camp everyone's in that same position. You will have some returners that know other people, but for the most part, everyone's new and like wants to make friends.
And returners want new friends.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, like all my friends that returners, we couldn't wait to meet the newbies. We were like, new friends. Yeah. But I think you can also flip that as well and use your phone to your advantage while you're here, because there's group chats, there's like Facebook groups of people going to your camp. So reach out before you go, so that then you've got one person that you know you've got something in common with, or like it's so much easier now that we've got phones, not that I've experienced without having a phone, if you know what I mean. Like, use it to your advantage. How to deal with burnout and being able to talk about stresses and debulk at camp. It's just quite a good question.
It is quite a good question, and I feel like it's gonna happen. And you know, some camps actually deal with it on a camp level really well. Like they'll put things in throughout the summer for staff, like fun staff things to sort of help with that. But I think for yourself, it is knowing what the signs are that you're starting to feel burnout, and try not to ignore them too much, like, because then you can, if you're starting to feel burnout, like actually take some steps to help yourself. So like do something that you do, like you like to do that is fun, and that might be something solo, like you might need to like take some time on one of your days off and like reset or recharge, but it could be something very camp like I feel like a lot of people get recharged by like being in the talent show or like doing color war, like going full on into like the actual camp events, because they're designed to be fun and like kind of get you in that space. And so sometimes, you know, we can get caught up in all the little things that are like kind of driving us a little crazy or getting us frustrated, like, you know, like we're tired or I didn't like this meal or like those kind of things. But if you then can kind of zoom out and look at like what you're doing that day and like where you are, and and again, it's a lot of fake it till you make it for this kind of stuff, because like it's gonna ebb and flow through the summer. You're gonna have days that are better than others or worse than others, and like and tomorrow's always a new day.
100%. One thing I always talk to about my counselors over the years, especially at the start of the summer, is the summer itself is a marathon, not a sprint. And it always happens the first week. Camps arrive, is an exciting experience for everyone. Everyone goes hard, you know, the energy's high, everything like that. Then we have something called the second week slump, where because you've used your energy so much in week one, week two you're kind of a little bit tired and burnt out and stuff like that. So we're always trying to make sure that it's almost like a stable energy line, that you're exerting yourself throughout the summer, especially week 5 and week 6. Or
week 5 gets me every time. It's like just before colour war, after trip week, and then all of a sudden it just goes away, and then
it's like you have all these really cool things, and then we're like normal camp life, which is still really cool, but like not as cool as
I think as well, one thing that I found, it sounds so stupid, but something that like lifts my spirits is like washing my socks, like having fresh socks, fresh sheets,
laundry.
It's like the little things that can just make you feel so much better. Like if you're feeling a bit tired and groggy and whatever, go put your comfiest outfit on, a clean pair of socks. Like, I don't know, I could be maybe that's a girl thing, I don't know.
I don't think so. I think you're finding the comforts. You're just like, and I also think that question asked about like how to basically vent about like your burnout or something, and I think that's so, I mean, I just really like that person was mindful about it, because I think sometimes we can fall into that like thing where we're just venting constantly to the people around us, and that like really spreads some negativity. So like you don't necessarily want to do that. But of course, like, you want, like, on your time off, you're gonna be like, oh, that thing, or this or that.
This kid didn't sleep.
So I think it's like in your time off when you're not around campers, like absolutely use that time to vent with your friends and kind of put it out there and like, you know, like get it out of you.
Yeah.
But like you do have to be like, careful like around the kids to make sure that, you know, you've got the smile on and you're like.
Yeah, and then sometimes you'll smile, like you'll be fake smiling, but don't forget you're fake smiling with the kids, and then you'll snap out of it, and then before you know it, you're living your best life again.
Yeah, I'll definitely take advantage of, for example, phones and social media. When you are on break, lots of you were saying, sometimes try not to spread negativity. When you are venting, an outside perspective can sometimes help so much. So even like talking to a friend, like they want to know how your summer's going. So obviously you can tell it's going really well. However, I had a little bit of a bad day today because of this.
Yeah.
Sometimes talking to a friend outside of the camp bubble, I think has really helped counsellors in the past.
It puts it into perspective, I think, because what seems like such a big deal at camp, when you tell someone at home, or like if you take it out of that camp setting, you're like, I'm crying because I lost a pair of shorts. Like, it could be something so tiny. Like when you actually put it into perspective, it's like, okay, I'm fine. I can get over this. Like tomorrow's a new day. I think as well, I'd always call my mum if something went wrong, but then I'd worry her, and I'd snap out of it so quickly. Like by 5 o'clock that evening, I'm eating my pasta happy as Larry, and then the next day my mum's like, "Is everything okay? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." So I think, like you said, just be careful how you vent and don't be too negative.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Because at camp, everything's like just magnified, you know, like the little things feel big, and like it's meant to be that way to some extent. Like you're creating this amazing experience for all these kids, and so like it is a really intense environment, intense good, intense bad, but it like also moves really fast. So like if it was really good right now, it might be like really bad, and then it's back to really good, and it's hard for anyone outside of camp to like really understand how that feels.
And the majority of the time, you're not gonna like. I remember having, I think it was 1 week this summer, I was a bit down. Couldn't tell you why. I literally don't know why, and I can't remember because it's so irrelevant because the good times outweigh the bad. But you kind of forget about it so quickly.
That's so true. The goods outweigh the bads, 100%.
Oh, the highs are high.
Yeah, definitely. And that obviously the summer seems long, but when you're in that camp bubble, camp goes really quickly.
So quick.
And towards the end, a talk that I always do around week 5 is like, this last week at camp obviously go hard, but like appreciate this week because this is the last week you're going to spend at camp, especially around the campus. Like it's a sad time when they all go. So definitely.
Yeah, but then you get camp blues.
Yes.
Like that's like a major thing, and for me, my mental health at camp is at its best because you have different kind of stresses at camp, but none that like. Oh, it's not reality, is it? It's like a different form of reality. So like you're out, like you're in your own little bubble, that you don't have any of the outside stresses or anything. So then it can kind of be a bit scary leaving camp because you're so nervous to be there, but no one really thinks about actually having to say goodbye and go back into the real world and use real knives and forks and things like that, you know?
Yeah.
You create such a safe environment whilst at camp, don't you? And then leaving it is a little bit like
it's a support
daunting.
system. A very tight-knit one.
Yeah, and it's like you have culture shock when you get to camp and culture shock when you leave, because you were saying about like your mom and the Spice Girls. Yeah, you're gonna leave camp and 2 months or 2.5 months or whatever will have passed, and you'd have like limited knowledge of all of that.
Yeah. You're not gonna know the TikTok trends.
No, you're not gonna know the TikTok trends, and you will have kind of like unplugged and connected with nature and like that, you know, that's not how it is in regular life. And so then you go back and it's like fast paced and everyone's just I don't know, all like the uni and all the stressors and like that kind of stuff come back.
So I think make the most of it as well when you travel. Like when we got to New York after camp, we were like, whoa, like, and you get to decide what you want to eat and things like that. So it's just strange. Like I don't think you can explain it as you've been in that. You've gone through that transition of going to camp and then leaving.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, if we talk about leaving camp a little bit, I think that's such a good idea. Like if you have the ability to travel after camp, like with people from camp, or like do a tour or something, it is really helpful to ease your transition back into life. Because you're not at camp, so you're like outside in the real world, but you're not quite back into your regular life, and you can like enjoy yourself and kind of like ease that. You know, there is a decent amount of sadness when you leave camp. It's so immersive and intensive, and you made all these connections, and then you're leaving them. Like, obviously you can stay in touch, and you'll have social media, and like
you can go back.
Yeah, you can go back, but you won't be with them at least for a little bit. And so the traveling after gives you something to like look forward to, really enjoy everything you're seeing and doing, and like transition out of camp life so that when you go home it's like a bit easier.
It's really interesting as well to see how everyone's experience is different. Dealing with camp blues or a little bit anxious before you go. Like you said, your sort of more difficult time was before camp.
I was a mess. My first summer, I cried for about a week before I went. Didn't nearly get on the plane. And even my second summer, like I knew what I was going to. Like I was so excited to go, and then it got to like 2 weeks before, and I was like,
uh-oh,
I can't do this. Like the anxiety for me before is insane.
Yeah, whereas mine is like the aftermath. So like you were saying, it happened to me literally last summer when I didn't do any travelling. I came straight home, and you go from camp life, which is fun and chaotic and it's just everywhere, and then you come home and you've got nothing to do all day because you're like in between jobs or uni or something like that, and that downtime is just like, it's really a weird sort of time period. Just like, what do? I can't just go outside and chat to a friend that I've known for the last 9 weeks.
Right. You walk out your door and there's 10 people to talk to.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very interesting how different people have different struggles whilst at camp. But that's, as you can see, it's very normal. A lot of people go through it.
I felt like I wasn't normal because I was working in the Camp America office before I went to camp. Like, I'd never been to camp and I started working here. So everyone was talking so highly of it, and I'm like, I'm terrified. Like, is there something wrong with me? Like, no one else is scared to go. And I'm sitting there thinking, I could literally cry at the thought of going.
What were you terrified about?
I think it was homesickness, because I'm a home girl. I like being at home, and like I've got a good circle of friends here, and I'm really close with my parents. And I think I was just nervous about being away for that long. And also, my first summer I had quite a lot of responsibility. I was teaching dance. And I was like, kind of, like, it was only me and one other person doing it. So, I mean, I think that was it. I don't know. So I think it was just the thought of homesickness for me.
Yeah.
And like, I got homesick when I was there, but it wasn't half as bad as what I'd thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
I think, I don't know. But I think if I had any advice for anyone, it would be to work or go to uni or help up to like as close as you can before you go, because my first year I had 10 days where I finished work and before I went to camp.
And all you did was think about
All I did was panic. Whereas like last year I worked up until like 2 or 3 days before I went, and so much, like I was still nervous, but so much better because I didn't have time to overthink.
Yeah.
But I still had time to pack.
Yeah.
So,
What would you suggest in terms of you going to camp for the first time? Obviously, it feels a little bit. How would you suggest sort of dealing with that? Maybe anxiety?
Yeah, I think somewhere between the 10 days and like maybe the 2 days, because I think something that can lower anxiety is like feeling prepared. And so like obviously you can't necessarily feel prepared for what might happen at camp when you first get there because you've never been. But you can get yourself prepared for like the travel there, and then at least like knowing where the camp is and like how you're gonna get there, and you can like be in the Facebook groups and kind of like talk to people and see what sort of things to pack, so like you can get yourself as ready as possible. And I'm someone who like if I am feeling anxious, like knowing the steps really helps me. So like I'm gonna pack this, I'm gonna go to the airport, my layover's here, I'm gonna get to this airport in this town in America I've never been to, but I know that camp is gonna pick me up in like a van, or like there'll be other
McDonald's
people
or something ridiculous.
So like I would definitely like make sure I knew all of those things, and then like also be prepared for it not to go smoothly. Like when I travel, especially international, I kind of always am prepared for like layovers or missed flights, and so like pack things that will help you get through that and feel comfortable at least in your journey. And then like I like to have when I'm traveling like a travel buddy via text, like one of my friends or someone, and it might be your mom for you, that like you know like you know they know what you're doing and like where you're going, you can kind of reach out to along the way. And if possible, like you mentioned, the connecting like to other people from the camps via like the Facebook groups or something, use those and see if there is anyone traveling on, you know, like on the way, and like potentially you might meet them at your connecting flight if not from your original
I think
airport.
that's what lots of people ask about our flight package, and I did that my first year, and I met 30 people going to my camp at Heathrow. So I said goodbye to my mum and dad, and I was not alone until I then got home. Like, I was with people constantly.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of a selling point. If you're slightly nervous about travelling on your own, do the Camp America flights, because the chances are there's going to be at least 1 to 10 people on your flight going to the same place. So, and they're going to be nervous too. Like, there was lots of tears when everyone said goodbye, but then you're like, okay, I've got new friends already. Like, you can go and sit and have breakfast with people, and it just takes your mind off of it. So yeah, I was lucky enough to travel with like 30 people going to my camp.
And I think that's such a good example, because you might think like, oh, they're not gonna like me, or like what, but like everyone's in the same boat.
Everyone's feeling exactly the same.
Yeah.
Definitely. Even if they're not going to the same camp as you, even just seeing someone like with a Camp America shirt on or something like that, you can be like, oh, hey, like, you doing my camp? And that's when they go, no. And you're like, but then obviously you talk
Good luck,
about
have a great summer.
Even those small conversations with people, or if you're sitting next to someone on the plane who is going to a different camp, that's easy conversation.
We got a shout out on my plane the first year.
Because there's so many.
So many Camp America applicants. I think there's about 5 different camps on our flight. So the majority of the flight was scared. 18 to 20-year-olds. But there was like, congratulations to everyone doing Camp America. And we were like, so that was, not saying you're going to get that, but you never know.
It's going to be expected.
Yeah, but you might meet people that are going to camp, like neighbouring camps. So
there was my first summer. We were about 10 of us that went out to the same camp, so we were really lucky to meet them before we flew. And I sat next to someone called Millie. She's amazing. I love her to bits. And it's quite funny. Like, I didn't know this person at all before. Like, no message prior or anything like that. We sat next to each other on the plane. Obviously, you're talking about camp a little bit. Like, you can feel the nerves a little bit there, or like you're just getting to know someone feeling. And she literally just took her shoes off and her socks, and she was like, she calls them tingles. She has really big toes, and she was talking about her big toes.
Millie's gonna love this.
And it's her party trick, it's fine. And she was showing them, and instantly, as soon as that happened, it's like it switched, and I was really comfortable, and so was she. And obviously that kick-started the summer, and I'll never forget that, because it's such like a fun little story. So even just getting through that barrier, or starting that conversation, can really, really help.
Yeah, that's so. I mean, I think camp is a place where people can actually like be their true selves. Yeah. Whether that's like your weird big toe, or I don't know, some other personality quirk, but I think that's the piece that like is better for your mental health, right? In the real world, you know, like whether it's your job or uni or your family pressures, like you do, you know, like you have to sort of like play the role, especially like with work or like in your uni classes. At camp, like your role is to be you, and to be the best you, and like be the silly and funny and weird and quirky and and that's the thing about camp, is like whether it's your big toe, like your million, like your big toe is your quirky thing, or like you have your silly or your you know, creative. Like camp wants that piece of you. The kids want to see that part of you, and the counselors want to see that part of you, and like that's what camp is, a place where you can go and be that person versus having to like be the professional at work, or you know, like the uni very serious, or
100%, and also like it gives you confidence sometimes to go back into the real world when you get home and use those skills that with you being yourself at camp, you can actually use them in real life situations. Like even at the weekend we had our recent job fair where nearly 500 of you got places, which is amazing. But even there, like in the queue, I'm sure if you guys came, I was like dancing to Taylor Swift like outside. This is in the middle of Westminster. I definitely wouldn't have done that before camp. Whereas now it's just sort of like, you know what, it doesn't matter, no one actually
I
really
wouldn't have
cares.
done this before camp.
So it does really install some good traits inside of you that you use in real life scenarios.
It sounds like we're always saying like camp use the best you come out more confident, but until you've actually done it, I don't think you really understand like how much we actually mean it and how much how true it is.
And when we say that, it doesn't mean camp's gonna be like a cakewalk, like it's gonna be so easy, like it's just gonna like happen, you're gonna get to camp in like Disney World or something, it's gonna be like a magical like but like it will, like it is there, and so like some days still might feel hard, and that's okay. And it's just giving you like all these tools, because once you get to the end of summer camp, like the things you will have done and the things you would have learned and like the strength and confidence you would have gained it's like immense. It's not measurable, because every day you're going to do things that challenge you and help people around you, and it's just amazing. And so it can be hard, but it is still amazing.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I think you just sold our program.
So do Camp America. Was another thing we wanted to just touch upon, wasn't it, dealing with anxiety during the summer, or maybe the process of who you would go to if you are struggling with your mental health or something like that?
Yeah. And again, I want to say, like, it is kind of normal to have those days where, like, you're feeling down, you're feeling stressed, you're feeling overwhelmed, and that's fine. Like, we're human, that happens. If you're noticing it's, like, kind of affecting you and your work and, like, how you are with the kids, you definitely want to talk to someone sooner than later, so it doesn't kind of, like, build up. And every camp's a little different as far as, like, what resources they'll have on camp, and I know they're going to talk about that during staff training, but also everywhere you'll have a supervisor. It might be a unit leader, it might be a director, they'll call them different things, like a program manager, but, like, definitely go to those people who are there to help you. All of the camps will have a camp nurse, so, like, that's always someone you can talk to. Definitely use those resources. And, like, we talked about it earlier, but, like, we do also want to be careful about, like, venting to friends, because that, especially if it is something with mental health that you've been dealing with for a while, like, definitely fine to have a chat with your friends, but, like, use those other resources, because your friends will be supportive but won't necessarily be able to, like, adapt things to help. Like, maybe you do need, like, a 30-minute break to sort of just take a shower or take some downtime or make a phone call or reach out to a support you have here at home. Camps are very open to, like, if you do see someone in the UK, like a mental health worker or someone, and you want to keep those appointments, you totally can, like, you would set that up with the camp director.
That as well.
A lot of the kids, it's becoming more popular.
Yeah.
So I think that's something, definitely don't be afraid of, like, voicing that to the right people. And then, like, use your resources. Like, you probably will have some of your own strategies that you've used so far to get you this far. Like, if you are someone who tends to be anxious, what do you normally do that kind of helps you, and can that be translated into camp? And then, Camp America also has, like, support you can reach out to. So if you've reached out in camp and, like, you've tried some of your coping skills and, like, that sort of thing, and you still might want an outside support, call Camp America. They're there for you the whole time you're in placement and while you're traveling. So definitely reach out.
We have a 24/7 phone that's on duty, I guess, that's there.
Yeah.
So if you need anything, no matter what the time is, there is someone that you can talk to.
And they're so resourceful and they're so good. And I get to, maybe you'll get to talk to me. I don't know. I talk to lots of people during the summer with mental health things. But there's people other than me, and there's someone always there, which is so helpful.
And I know my camp, we had a camper advocate and also a counsellor advocate. So there's someone that you can go to specifically for counsellors that are, you might have a really, like, a difficult child that struggles with anxiety.
Yeah.
You're not sure how to deal with it. Like, there's so many different things that can come under it, but there's always someone that you can go to.
Use your supervisors as well. Like Stacey said, they are so key to your summer, and also if they are in a leadership position, they should be able to recognise how you're doing as a counsellor, and they should be able to realise, oh, hang on, George is he's struggling a bit today by the looks of it. How about he can just have 30 minutes out, maybe go rest for a little bit. That's definitely something that I would do at our camp, is meal times. Our counsellor they've had a rough day. The last thing they want to do is sit with the kids during meal time. It's just obviously chaos sometimes. So occasionally I'll be like, hey bud, let's go and sit on the staff porch and I'll just sit in for you. So hopefully your leadership team will be able to recognise if you are struggling, because they're going to get to know you so well. You're going to spend 9 weeks with these people. So definitely.
And at the end of the day, they want the kids to have the best summer, and that depends on you. Or you can make or break, like, a kid's time at camp, so they want you to be in that good place, and then you can pass on your excitement, your fun and everything onto the children to make sure they're having fun.
Definitely.
And I would say the biggest thing you can do for your mental health is sleep when you can. Like, it's so hard to sleep at camp because, like, you have a break at the night, and so, like, you want to do all these things or be with friends, but you get up really early, and if you're constantly going, like, that is the one thing that can really lead to burnout and those mental health symptoms kind of skyrocketing, is if you're really tired and haven't been getting that sleep. So meet your basic needs: sleep, water, food. Like, it works wonders.
listen to your body 100%. Because so many people at camp, especially their first year, will have FOMO if they hear everyone go to Walmart. They're like, I want to come, even though you're so tired. Listen to your body and just take the early night.
It's so hard to do sometimes. But
You got to look after yourself.
When I hear there's a Chipotle run, I'm just like,
you're out that door.
Sleep, what's that? Burrito.
Definitely. Was there any more questions at all?
No, I think that's it. I mean, we're going to obviously do some more in-depth videos that will be on your application, so you can watch those at some point throughout the application process that will go through everything in a little bit more detail, like before, during and after camp. We're also going to do some social media content, so keep an eye out there as well. But yeah, and if you have any more questions or anything, our DMs are always open. You can email us, and there's so many different ways you can get in touch. We can help you out.
100%, yeah. Stacey, you have been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
We would love to maybe do another one like in a year's time. Or next time you're in the UK and we can be like, so people's feedback on that and stuff like that. That'd be really
Part
cool.
2.
Amazing.
Thank you guys.
See you guys next week.
See you soon. Bye. Make sure to hit subscribe and head over to our Spotify to hear some more of what we have to say.